There we are. I'm flickering. I'll try to hold myself. There we are. There we are, not flickering anymore. Wonderful. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are on, as you know, maybe you don't know, but maybe you just clicked randomly, but hopefully you didn't, because you are right now on a case study, 1 of 4, and this is all about the secret recipe to really increasing e-NPS scores by 30 in only 6 months. Can it be done? I'm sure you're thinking, well, how on earth is that done? We're going to find out the recipe, and I hope not just the recipe, but the ingredients as well within that recipe, to find out how this exactly can be done. So it's over to Symphony right now. So we have Anna Borisavljević and Jelena Stojanović ready and waiting.
Hello. Hello,
Hello.
everybody. How are you,
Hello,
Peter?
good morning. How are you this morning, ladies?
Great. Can't wait to start.
Wonderful.
Yes,
and it's good to see, and you're together. So you're not in two different rooms, you're together, which probably makes it a lot easier for you as well. Absolutely. Right, I'll leave it over to you. Intrigued to hear this recipe this morning, and also the ingredients hopefully as well. And towards the end, if there are any questions, I'll come back in and pose those questions to you.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. It's my and our great pleasure to be with all of you today to exchange some experiences. My name is Jelena, and for those who didn't have a chance to meet me on panel discussion during the Monday, I'm just, let's say, first between equals in our amazing HR team here in Symphony Belgrade Hub. Today, me and Anna will share with you some ingredients for making the results, but before that, I would like to leave Anna to tell a little bit about herself.
Yes, thank you. So hello, everybody, once again. As Jelena said, my name is Anna, and I'm a psychologist with almost 6 years of experience in HR field. And currently in Symphony, together with Jelena, I'm a part of HR team, working actually as a talent assessment expert and HR business partner. So I'm beyond happy to have a chance to tell you more about how we do it here in Symphony today.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. Before start, let's take a minute to share with you my favorite story about Shackleton Odyssey to Antarctica. In 1940, 40 years old Irish-born adventurer and the seaman Ernest Shackleton took 27 men on an adventure to Antarctica in an attempt to be the first to walk across the entire continent. However, Shackleton's Imperial's transatlantic expedition failed at its beginning, when their ship called Endurance got stuck in the peak ice, just 97 nautical miles from the Earth's most southerly point. Many attempts were made to free Endurance from the ice, but no avail, and by the end of February, temperatures had fallen and the ship was frozen in the winter. So, as soon as the ship was frozen, Shackleton figured out that the goal of the enterprise was no longer to walk across the continent of Antarctica. The new goal was to survive. The expedition members remained living aboard the Endurance for several months. As the ship was under heavy pressure from the ice, at the end it sank. The expedition members remained living aboard the Endurance for several months. As the ship was under heavy pressure from the ice, on the end it sank. Shackleton mounted several failed rescue attempts, the last of which gave his crew to uninhabited Elephant Island. From there, in April 1916, he and 5 others traveled in a lifeboat to South Georgia Island, where they crossed the uncharted interior to secure help at Bering Station. After 4 months, they returned to rescue 22 men, all of whom were alive. So, this is a story where you can find a lot of leadership lessons, but I would rather focus on how it is so resonant to our moment. We are living in an age when conception of success are really rapidly changing. And one of the keys method learning is partly about choosing compelling stories. The stories we can learn from, stories that we can make our own, stories that we do not forget when we go out in the world and our businesses and begin to be responsible for the people in lives, money, energy, and commitment. Our goals as leaders and our whole strategy must be adapted to the needs of our people in order to make their journey remarkable. And now let's go on the next chapter, how we can make our employee journey exceptional. Does it mean going above colossal competition, as maybe Shackleton tried, or simply back to the basics? Here in our Symphony philosophy, we believe that key is in understanding psychological needs and using it for personalized development. We started with going back to the basics and empowered something we call holistic feedback strategy in every single phase of employee journey. Now I will give you a high-level overview of this philosophy, and later on I will deep dive into methodology. As you can see, there is certain intrinsic connection between company culture and performance. But where is that connection? Let's go step by step. Important part of this strategy is to ensure relevant data, so you can measure, track, and improve all your processes by assessing psychological needs of your employees. And now let's focus on employee journey. What we can learn from that? Do we collect feedback from every phase to learn about our employee needs? For example, when we are talking about attraction, do our candidates learn enough about company and the role so they can decide if it's the right fit? Or from the other side, when we are hiring them, do we know enough so we can decide if it's the right fit? Or for example, employees depart the organization and they are going to their next chapter. Do you know, does they continue to cheer on and refer people to the company from the sideline? Here we are using, for example, e-NPS score even for this phase, so we can know and track how our alumni are feeling about us. Then you need to start to track the progress to ensure relevant data. And as I said, we are using e-NPS score for measuring overall satisfaction and engagement, but also different people analytics, surveys, one-on-one meetings. And once when we collect all data, we have relevant insights so we can go on the next level and start to develop our people on the individual, team, and the managers or leaders level. And after that, we can deep dive on an issue by developing and assessing psychological safety, well-being, team subculture and values, and even we can go on the benefits level. And on the end, we will grow with the performance by having evaluated and measurement performance cycles, each one altering others. And there is our philosophy about holistic feedback strategy. And from my side, just to conclude, what is truly important for our employees? They need to have continuous feedback, and we need to provide our people with meaningful and actionable feedback. We need to enable strong alignment between managers and people to ensure objective evaluation. And the most important, to create personalized development plans by using employees' unique profile and skill potential. And how we are doing it, Anna will explain to you.
Thank you very much. So now we are getting close to hear more about our secret recipe and how we actually, on one side, perceive and then how we conduct both individual and team development here at Symphony. And I would like to start with a process flow to give you an overview of how we do it. So for the first stage, we set profiling. This is something that we do during our selection process. Why? Because we want to get to know our candidates on one deeper psychological level. When I say psychological level, what I mean is that we assess personal traits, we assess behavioral competencies, I will tell you how, and then we can say that we are one step closer to assessing culture fit of this person. But what is even more important, let's say, is the fact that we have a chance to know more about specific psychological needs of this candidate. And once we have a profiled candidate who is ready to join our crew, the onboarding process can start. And we are in the next stage. So at the stage of team formation, we have another challenge. And that challenge is to help our stakeholders who are leading our business, to help them how to understand people on one deeper level, to use psychological and profiling inputs in order to form a team that will be capable of becoming a high-performing team. That is something that we want here in Symphony. Then their onboarding part to the project starts. And we as HR, again, want to help in this phase. So what we do in order to boost the onboarding and to help them to onboard faster and more efficiently is that we organize team pre-assessment workshop that I will tell you about. Aim of this workshop is actually to strengthen team cohesion, to help team members meet each other faster and have some kind of values alignment within a team. And then we can say that we are one step closer to having a team subculture, atmosphere and team agreement. And continuous development is something that follows, repeats, and that is constant and continuous in our organization. So the question that we very often actually get asked is how do you do it? And we have prepared one case study in order to show you specifics of our methodology. So I mentioned psychological profiling. This is something that we do, as I said, because we want to know candidates authentically. Therefore, we are not just focused on assessing technical knowledge. That is something that is obviously very important, but we are also focused on measuring and assessing motivation and professional goals. We are very curious to know more about intellectual capacity, psychological profile, and behavioral competencies. And these inputs that we get during profiling have proven to be very valuable for us, not just in pre-hire phase, but also in post-hire phase. You will see how. So the post-hire phase of employee journey, and I will tell you why it's so valuable for us. We have, of course, a standard baseline of methodology that we use. It includes aptitude tests, personality self-assessment, as you can see, competency-based interview, and situational testing. This is something that we do in situations when we have positions that require leadership skills as well and people management. So why do we use aptitude tests? Because we have in mind Symphony's environment, projects, expectations, and our clients. And therefore, we are aware of the fact that we need people who can solve very complex tasks efficiently. And we know that aptitude tests in the past, in empirical studies, have proven to be very good predictors, actually, not just of cognitive capacity, but also very good predictors of cognitive flexibility and agility of people. And that is something that we are looking for. Then, together with these aptitude tests, we use a battery of personality questionnaires, which help us assess candidates' preferable way of behavior and preferable way of working. And we also can assess, is it or it isn't in line, and how does it actually align with our culture values here. As I mentioned, in certain situations, we do situational testing in a form of a role play. And these role plays are tailor-made. They are a real simulation for something that can happen on this position regularly. And then based on all of these inputs that we collect, we conduct competency-based interview. What I would like to stress here is that our competency-based interview aren't just here to do some kind of checking points, and go through it, but every competency-based interview is actually some kind custom-made for this candidate, because we have these personal inputs about the person, so we can accommodate approach and get to know more on certain topics that we are interested to find out. And you can see one real example now. So this is Nicola. He is fresh and new at Symphony. He has just finished his selection process successfully. And you can see on the screen how his profiling report looks like. So we are focused on assessing 7 key competencies during profiling. These competencies are coming from these domains that you can see on the screen. Actually, this includes cognitive capacity, delivering results, responsibility and ownership, mindset, flexibility, as you can see. We are assessing communication and collaboration skills and emotional intelligence as well. And this is a kind of quantitative part of the report, but we also have these qualitative areas that you can see. So we provide inputs about key strengths, about development areas. This is very important later for making individual development plans for employees. We also assess leadership potential and level of independency. Actually, we want to provide useful inputs and information for our stakeholders to know what to expect from Nicola now that he's joining Symphony, to know how fast he can reach autonomy in his job delivery. And with all of this information, as I said, we help our stakeholders to make a right hiring decision. But then after Nicola is graded, as you can see, as optimal fit for our culture, we are also using this information in a phase of onboarding. So we can choose mentor and buddy for Nicola according to these data, according to his profile and specific needs that he has. We can also use it to schedule debriefing session. And that is something that we actually do. Debriefing session where Nicola will get relevant infos about his development and what are his strong points, what are development areas, what are certain risks that we see in this phase and that we will work on during his development in Symphony. And then we are here, we have to form a team. Nicola is waiting for the project because he is fresh and new. And we are now one step actually closer to having a secret recipe for team formation. How we do it? New project is coming to the hub. Our stakeholders propose certain team structure. They have in mind tech stack, of course. But what we do is that we help our stakeholders understand that it's not just about technical skill set. It's very important is to take into account psychological needs and profile if we want to have environment within a team that is psychologically safe. And that is something that we pay a lot of attention to. Something that helps us in this phase is team competency matrix. You will see one example now. Actually, what we do is that we, for example, here we have 6 team members that are proposed for new projects. We grade all of their competencies together in one matrix on a scale from 0 to 5. And then we have something like this. So we can have an overview of team's competencies, and this helps us actually very well in predicting outcomes. With this, we are aware of the potential fracture lines. Our stakeholders, team lead as well, they know what to pay attention to actually, and we know in which phases to support this team, how to monitor them and how to be there for them actually. Then they start to onboard easily. So we are here in team pre-assessment workshop. How we do it? This is one dedicated day for the team here in our hub to meet alive and to spend 6 hours together. We make sure to organize this workshop in first 2 weeks of teams onboarding. It's important to happen at the beginning of their onboarding. And then we do different exercises. One thing that we always do is team roles assessment. So here we are interested to know, okay, we know on individual level every aspect of employee personality and competencies, but now we want to know which role this person is prone to taking within a team. What is important to know about actually team compatibility, about their strengths and weaknesses. So we do this part of self-assessment, and then we follow with gamified team exercises. So we prepare exercises that are a real simulation for some situation that happened on the project. And this helps us actually to assess team collaboration, to see how they communicate with each other, what is the dynamic within a team. And as a third part of the workshop, we help the team to form their own visual, motto, logo, a kind of team identity that they will have, that will help them establish psychologically safe environment for them. They also form a team agreement, so they define all together how to behave within a team, what is acceptable, what is less acceptable, and so on. And this is something that really boosts their performance and help them be aligned with business needs and help them actually to be flexible, agile, and adaptable to business needs that are constantly, as we all know, changing all the time. Okay, and if we speak now about the results of continuous personalized development, what we have is individual profiling report that I mentioned that we use during the post-hire phase, during the employee journey in our hub. we also have this kind of team assessment report after the team workshop. We define together action steps and timeline for further individual and team development. So we sit down and we define actually individual development plans based on all of this data that we collected. And we also define what will be the next phase for team coaching. Every team has different needs and different contexts, and different business needs and so on. So we sit down and define something that is needed for them actually in further phases of working on a project. What is very important is that we are all the time ready to upscale, rescale the team, redefine team agreements. This is something that is changing, all the time. We have new team members, so we have to accommodate and to help the team to maintain good environment, something that is good for their performance and well-being as well. So for the end, to summarize, if we have to choose 3 key ingredients for our secret recipe for increased e-NPS score that we had this year, we would put here expertise that we use on one very custom approach level, because we're not here just to put down our expertise, but to first see and analyze what are the needs, and then make custom-made development programs for everything that we do. Second ingredient would be increasing HR value throughout strong business partnership. So we have to understand each other very well and to be focused on the humans all the time, something that we repeated many times during this presentation, but to hear our people, to be there for them, to have one-on-one, and to constantly be open to change and accommodate our approach according to this. Okay, so now is the feedback time. We would like to hear any of your questions. Something that we learned during the whole process is that we should listen, act, change, and adopt. This is something that is constant iterations here. And thank you very much for your attention. We are here for questions.
Great. Right now, that's fantastic. Right now, no questions have come through. Perhaps they'll come through right now. We've got a few more minutes left. So again, you're listening to this, you're curious, pop in the chat right now a question, a comment, or something you'd like to challenge Anna or Jelena about in terms of what they've just shared. But apart from that, listen, an intriguing, insightful time this morning with us. And hopefully, as I say, we'll get some questions coming in right now as I'm speaking. How big are your teams approximately? That's one of the questions right now. What would you say?
Yes. This really depends on the project, on the business needs, but we can say that our teams are made from 3 to 4 team members, and they can be made of 18. The biggest team that we now have is 18 people in the team. So this is some kind of, it's variable, it depends.
Okay. So it depends on different factors. Daniela has just asked a question. Also, what tools do you use in this process for profiling, assessing team roles, etc.? What would you say?
Tricky question.
This is a tricky question because we didn't want to uncover the name, the instrument that we are using. But what we can say and share here is that we are using standardized psychological instruments that have, let's say, relevant consistency validation through the time, both for individual assessment in selection and for assessing team roles during the team pre-assessment workshop.
Okay. Another one just coming through from Maria. What is the biggest challenge from an HR perspective?
Yeah, from my perspective, sometimes when you're using this tool and the business start to recognize your value, sometimes they behave like you have a crystal ball and you can predict everything and you can give exact answers on every single question. But we are just trying to have as much as possible insight so we can make difficult decision or good decision timely. That is one thing. And another thing is, especially in our industry, constant changes. So maybe you can make a plan for 6 months for one team and something will happen in business, and then plan a strategy that is changing in a moment. And you need to stretch your capacity to adapt to the circumstances, etc.
Right, so things that are changing constantly, so difficult to make a plan because that probably you're going to have to twist it and maybe go to plan B already, even though you're making that plan, right? Okay, quick question now to finish off from Ivana. How can you handle fluctuation and new team members coming in the different phases of the project lifestyle? So new team members coming in that project, that life cycle.
To be honest, with this approach, our attrition rate was less than this 4% in this year. So our e-NPS score 1 year before was 55. Now it's 86. So the most challenging is fluctuation between projects, because some projects take 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and some of them are for the 6 months, even more.
For 1 year.
So that kind of internal fluctuation, it's pretty difficult, because we are trying to adopt individual needs with the business needs. And as companies growing, it is becoming more and more difficult.
And Jelena, this is where we're going to have to say farewell, goodbye, until the next time, I'm sure, because clearly Symphony, an important part of HR Week, continuing with us on our journey as much as yours. Thank you so much for your insights, and again, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.